I suffer from a certain degree of literal-mindedness, and so my story on the theme of unexpected gifts is actually about a present that I received. But here's the twist. I wasn't expecting it. In this case, the gift was from my father-in-law. Several years ago, I married into a Chinese-Canadian family. As those of you in the studio audience can tell, and as home listeners can probably guess from the note of entitlement in my voice, I'm a white dude. When my wife and I got married, we didn't get any of the fun, cinematic, theatrical drama that we had been led to believe by television and movies invariably accompanied the marriage of white dudes to Chinese girls. Her parents weren't angry or afraid that I would force her to acknowledge the solar new year. They were cool with a white son-in-law. They were cool with a white son-in-law who was a stand-up comic. They welcomed me. This is not the skunk story. They welcomed me into the family with open arms. And in fact, the only point of cultural tension arose when they couldn't quite get those arms all the way around me. You see, as the studio audience can tell, and as home listeners can guess from the note of entitlement in my voice, I'm a big dude. My in-laws grew up in Hong Kong, surrounded by very lean, thin people, eating lots of leafy vegetables. Conversely, I grew up mostly around pizza pops. In fact, the first time I heard them use the phrase barbecue pork bun, I thought I had just been given a cruel nickname. Which is not to say that a fat guy can't find a home in a wiry, athletic Chinese-Canadian family. In fact, there are many points of overlap between Hong Kongese and fat dude culture. For instance, I felt perfectly at home at my first 10-course banquet, even if I'm more used to having them all just in one sandwich. One place, though, where there is no overlap between Hong Kong and big dudes is the fitting room. I have a friend named Nick who has a tiny Italian-Canadian father whose biggest claim to fame in the realm of physicality is that he is a Hong Kong large. I had gone through life blissfully unaware of the Hong Kong sizing system until my in-laws began returning from trips back to the homeland with bags full of presents for their beloved children, of which I was now terrifyingly one. Here in North America, the X's on shirt tags are like little kisses in a love note from the manufacturer to chubby shoppers. It's like, mwah, we love you just the way you are. Hong Kong shirt tags also sometimes have X's on them, but they're more like the angry strike icons on Family Feud. No, you will never get in this shirt. Stop eating so many cheesies. Upon returning from any of their several trips back home, Mom and Dad would gather us together, producing a bag of sartorial goods from the land of cheapest clothes. My wife and siblings-in-law would smile, and my heart would drop into my stomach, covering itself in cheesy dust. Year after year, we went through the same humiliating dance. My in-laws would smilingly give me a shirt that I could tell on sight would never fit, because in the United States, it would have been sold as a napkin. Upturning my mouth in an excruciating, faked smile of my own, I would go into another room. I would try unsuccessfully to wriggle it down past my nipples, fail, somehow wrench it off, and then return, shaking my head. It may seem trivial, but my tight-shirted misery was estranging me from a meaningful family ritual. The bag of presents that they would bring home from their trips was my in-laws' way of showing us how much we'd been missed, how much they'd been thinking of us. By including me in the gift giving, they were including me in their idea of who their family was. Instead, the opposite would happen. I would feel as though my heft had robbed them of the joy of gift giving. And I would watch as my bodybuilder brother-in-law would slip comfortably into whatever he'd been given. And not only would I feel not a part of his family, but a member of a different, vastly inferior species altogether. Upon his most recent return from Hong Kong, my father-in-law produced another dread bag of presents, casting over me the usual dark cloud, the shadow of which at least fits me perfectly. Out of the bag, he produced a bizarre t-shirt with an anthropomorphized hamburger jumping on a trampoline. I still don't know what it means. When he stepped out of the room, I tried desperately to get it on. No dice. What's worse, as in every fat guy's nightmare scenario, he walked back into the room while the shirt was only halfway down, my stomach and hourglass figure exposed. The blood rushed from every part of my body into my newly flushed cheeks, though not quite enough drained from my torso for the shirt to fit. I was mortified. As you can imagine, then, my terror when he told me it was okay, he had another present. Had I not been debased enough? Did my wife not have enough giant Hong Kongese pajama shirts? But instead, rather than a tiny sweater or a button-down that fit me like a vest, Dad produced a beautiful wood and leather wristwatch. I was overwhelmed. For starters, every comedian needs a wristwatch on stage. What's more, though, it was perfectly suited to my style. I briefly panicked that I wouldn't be able to fit it around my wrist. But I needn't have. It was an unexpected gift double time, both a beautiful piece that I would cherish and use, and also, finally, an admittance to the family homecoming experience. When I told my wife that I was going to tell this story to show how her family, now my family, had finally gotten it, finally brought me in, she looked deeply into my eyes and smiled gently and held me, and told me that it had been her who told him, nix the clothes, just get him a watch. Needless to say, I was deflated. Hopefully deflated enough to fit into whichever friggin' shirt they bring back next time. Thanks very much.